Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Web Show here in person.
Yeah.
You look good, friend.
You look good too. Thanks, bro.
Thank you. Oh.
We look good. You look good. You look good. See?
There's three of us.
We look good, and you said I look good, so therefore you look good as well.
Thus, we all look good.
We all
Let's go.
Good.
Hey, guys. Welcome to the first episode of WEBBY Summer. It's a little bit different than normal. Really looking forward to it, though. We're just going to kick back, have some chill moments, have some chill conversations with each other. And the way that we're going to kick that off, the very first thing that we're going to do is, if you've been listening to the show for a little while now, you already know that we have been talking about doing kind of this thing where we suggest a childhood favorite game to the other person, or just a favorite game in general. And that got way more complex than I was expecting it to be, because Topaz's current favorite game is not his childhood favorite game or is an old game at all. It's actually Tears of the Kingdom, which obviously is a game that I've already played and that everybody is playing. Yeah. Now, I'm a weird mixed bag when it comes to that, because my current favorite game is also my favorite game in antiquity. Like, it's just what I've always liked. And so what we opted to do was to stretch the other person and make a game recommendation to the other person that was one of our like big hits, whether or not we played it as children or as adults. Just was like a big part of the type of game that we like to play that the other person really hadn't played. Yeah. And we take it from there. And this episode, we're going to talk about the first one. And should we tell them what both of them are, or do you want to make them wait till next week to see what game you made me play?
They can wait till next week if they don't already know.
Oh, so if you've been watching over at twitch.tv/WebbyPumpkin, you already know. But just a little incentive for you to go ahead and be following on the live streams. It's worth it. But otherwise, exactly 1 week from today, you'll know what game this guy very literally made me play.
Yep, had to.
However, today we're talking about the game that I effectively made you play.
Yes.
Which is Ape Escape. So, like the PlayStation 1 game, I really want to see like a remake of this game come, because I think it's a really good candidate, because the gameplay is just so simple and fun. It just screams like 90s nostalgia, good gameplay. Yeah. It's so good that I think it's like if we can get a Crash Bandicoot or a Spyro remake or some of these other like a Skyward Sword remake, I think it's a good candidate for or a KO the Kangaroo remake. Like, it's a good candidate for that. Yeah. But tell me a little bit about your experience with playing this game. You played it through PlayStation Plus, right?
Yes.
So it was the actual PS1 version, just on a DualSense controller.
Right.
Which is interesting, because I feel like that controller, even though like the layout's similar, it does a lot to change the way that game feels, because I mean, it wasn't meant to have analog. Like, when the game came out, it didn't have analog triggers, but those buttons do things, you know. And it's kind of a strange controller configuration by modern like perspectives. However, not the worst. Like, you ever go back and play some old games and they're just like impossible to play, because you want to grab like the right stick to move your camera and stuff like that. You probably did try to move your camera with the right stick on this one a couple times, but this one I feel like it's so different that it just feels like a totally different thing to me. I grasp onto it pretty quickly. But all right, so you played it on that, so it's a slightly different experience, but it would have been in at least 1080p, so that's kind of nice. The upscaling's there, so it doesn't feel quite like you're playing on an old CRT. So tell me about your experience, but before you do that, tell me a little bit about your history with this game. Like, how much you'd seen it before, or if you'd played it before or done anything like that. Like, tell me anything that you experienced before turning this on for this challenge. What were you thinking?
With Ape Escape, I seen it before as a kid, or as however we were kids. Well, yeah. I was a kid. Yeah, you were younger.
Marginally.
I'm so old. But I've seen it played. I thought I played it, but I don't even, like, as I was getting into it this time around, I don't remember playing it. Maybe I was at somebody's house and they had it and I had the opportunity to play it, that could have been a thing. But I don't have a good memory, so I don't know if that was a thing. But it was definitely a 90s game.
Yeah.
With this experience I had, last week and this week, or playing it, whenever I started playing it, it was an experience. And since we talked about the controllers, it was the absolute hardest game, and I hated it so much as far as controlling goes, because I guess it's new now. Back in the day, if PlayStation 1,
yeah, it was PS1.
it might have been.
It was like
easier.
One of the first games that came out with the DualShock 1, because if you picture the original like PlayStation controller, it didn't have analog like sticks, which means that this game cannot be played without analog sticks.
Right.
And so it was one of those things. You know how, all right, to compare it to something in modern era, Astro's Playroom that came with the PS5, you know how that game was really made as just a showcase for all the stuff the DualSense controller can do? Well, this is a full-on game, but I feel like it was very much like Nintendo-esque in nature, where it was surrounded around this new thing that the PlayStation had, which was analog sticks. So anyway, yeah, you have to have a DualShock controller to play it.
That's cool that you brought up Astro's Playroom, because it did play a lot like that. There are different kind of deals. I mean, you're not chasing monkeys around in Astro's Playroom, but you are collecting stuff to kind of build your inventory with the PlayStation and all that history and stuff. But it kind of had that feel when you go back to like the main menu or the little room where the
show floor or whatever they called it.
Yeah, and you go to the saving spot, go to all these other spots, the training room, all that kind of stuff, which was really cool. And I'm pretty sure back during that time, that was a cool thing to have a spot where you go, like your home base, basically, to do stuff in as well, and not just doing the whole main stuff like catching the monkeys and stuff.
Not very open world, which that's very common in older games anyway, because it gave you like a loading zone, so the game could load one level and it'd be a small level and it'd be portioned. Because like if you think Crash Bandicoot is like that, you come to a place and then you go into 5 worlds and then you go into the next piece. Spyro, I love bringing it back to Spyro, but it even had something like that. They made it feel a little more immersive, I think, but it had home worlds. And so you come and then you go through a portal, to go to the other things. And that's not even really a PlayStation-ish type thing. That's just very, very old school 90s and before video. I mean, think even Mario. Like Mario, you had not always. So the first Mario, obviously, you just went from level to level and you could skip. But around like Super Mario 3, you had the map, and that became like really popular. And then you could kind of traverse the map and go into whichever level you wanted. And so I think it's just one of those things where the technology wasn't there to be able to consistently just pop in and render everything.
Yeah.
And it may be some nostalgic value that I have for that type of game. But I like it because it's so simple. Like it's a different thing. Yes, sometimes I want to jump into a Tears of the Kingdom, or I want to jump into like a Skyrim or Horizon Forbidden West and just kind of like fully immerse, like I'm completely in the game. But sometimes I want to like kind of unwind, and I'm not really the kind of person to like play Sudoku or like to snuggle up and play like Starlight Valley or something like that. There are people that
Dreamlight Valley? What's Starlight Valley?
Starlight Valley is way older than Dreamlight. It's a 2D top-down Animal Crossing-ish farmer game.
Okay.
Or maybe it's called Stardew Valley. I think it's called Stardew Valley. Okay. I think I misspoke. I mixed the two together. But those type of things. And even we've talked about Dreamlight. I like Dreamlight, and I'm definitely a Disney adult. Like I love Disney, but because I can't like see a finish line and be as task oriented as I'd like to be, and because it's so broad, like you can do whatever you want in whatever order, there's very little direction. There's this thing called decision fatigue. I think I've shared it with you, where it's not an unwind game for me. It's almost like real life. Like I've got to get into this game and figure out what am I doing? Like what decisions I have to decide, how I'm going to help these people and in what order. And it's a level of relaxation for me when the game tells me what to do and I get to just do it. And obviously that's not every time. I want to sometimes like be my own man, but but sometimes I want that. So I'm talking a lot more on this because I do have some thoughts and some questions I'm gonna have for you, but I want to be able to let you jump back in to your experience with this Ape Escape game, which is a game that it's not my favorite of all time. So Spyro is my favorite of all time,
right?
But it is one of the games that I have my earliest memories of loving the PlayStation because like I've shared this before on the podcast and on stream. I'm not like I saw a poll actually this week, just asking people, you know, what their first console was, like what they're in the 90s, like when they were growing up. People are around our age, and 70-something%, I think at the time that I looked at it, was 74% had a Nintendo system.
Yeah.
Wow. And it was 13 had a Sony system. I'm in the 13, so all those nostalgic first gaming memories I associate with the PS1, where a lot of people that are our age associate with like the Nintendo 64, and it's just different. And then very few, the real wild card were like the Sega Genesis people, but and they're a little bit older than us too. So all that to say, there are like 3 games that I remember as being like the main games for me. And they were Driver 2, Spyro, and Ape Escape. And it was just a game that my sister-in-law picked up at like a pawn shop or something. I was like, this looks interesting, and I loved it. And I was the first in the family to beat it, which makes me feel like a baller. That's right, you guys hearing that? You listen out there, family. I'm better than you. No, I'm kidding. But no, it was just so cool, and I like platformer collectors. Like it's what I like. And this, when the things that you're collecting run from you and shoot you and fight you, and it's just a little it's just good. So yeah, why don't you? I'll add anything that I remember if I hear something that you don't do. But for anybody that's never played Ape Escape, why don't you introduce the premise, like how the game works, what it's about, like what is this game?
And I'm gonna be so wrong because I don't know names.
That's
I don't know stories. I don't know none of this stuff. I just know that the main thing is that you so they're monkeys.
Yep. But they're actually apes.
There's apes.
But they definitely call them monkeys. Yeah.
And there's this one guy, Spike. Well, this is the first one. I think the other games.
That's the one I told you to play was 1, but
Spike.
Because it's the good one.
And then what's his best friend?
Jake.
Yeah. And the old girl, one. And then
Natalie
and the professor guy.
His name is Professor. Guy. You got that.
Hey.
He's the professor. Yeah.
Professor guy.
It was the 90s. It was simple, man. People didn't have names. Their jobs were their identities. You are the professor. So, Pokemon did the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But then they started adding names.
Yeah.
But all these people, I guess you could say they work together in a sense.
Yeah, kind of. They basically had the kids had internships at the lab. Natalie worked there. Yeah.
So Spike is the main character. He goes out and so all these apes have
escaped. They should call the game Ape Escape.
I don't know why they didn't do that. That's crazy.
I feel like you're even overcomplicating it a little bit there, because the premise of the game is there's a bunch of monkeys and you got to catch them.
Yeah, you got a net and you got all these other
cool gadgets
that help you out throughout all these different levels of catching apes, and then there's certain different amount that you catch, but the levels have a whole lot of, well, not a whole lot. The levels have more apes in that level, so you don't really have to catch the same ones, or the first 6 you see, there's more somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's a cool thing about the game, is just having those different like secret passages, or I said that right? Secret passages.
Sure, there were some things like
passageways where you can go in and do all of the kind of things, and figure out a puzzle or something and catch an ape that way. But then there are different levels of apes, power levels of apes, depending on the color of their pants.
Yeah, because it's simple. It's the 90s.
And I think the little hat, and then the little light.
So the helmets are important. Like, that's the part of the lore that I think you might have missed in the opening, is that so Spectre is the evil monkey that you're trying to hit. And what has happened is the professor.
He's a cool little evil monkey.
He's cool. He looks very humanoid, but he's just a white monkey, or a white furred monkey. But so the professor has developed like intelligent increasing helmets. And Spectre somehow got a hold of one and then started mass producing them for other monkeys. And he has sent them back in time because of this great thing, which is why every level, like the first level, you start in like the prehistoric era.
Yeah.
He sent them back in time to basically rewrite human history so that the apes are on top. And so that's the whole premise. And you're having to go back in time with the time net and catch the monkeys, which will teleport them back to the future. And you got to catch all the monkeys and eventually catch Spectre to basically fix the timeline that he's messed up. And it's cool. How far did you get?
I missed all of that, boy. I was skipping some. I read a little bit, but then I was skipping like more just to try to get
more as much of it as you can.
As much as I can. But.
See, it's pretty cool because you start like prehistoric, and then there's like dinosaurs, and then you end up like on flashing forward a lot. You end up like underwater, then you end up in the Ice Age, then you end up.
You asked me how far I got.
Yeah.
So the little creature Dexter, I think he called him Dexter.
Yeah, you're still in the late Cretaceous, so you haven't made it. The next like subset of worlds is the Ice Age. So and then you have like early civilization. So you'll see like the Great Wall of China be built. And
all right, you can stop talking now.
Am I convincing you to keep playing it?
I mean, I after playing it again, this last time I played it, I was like, well, now I've invested in it, so I need to know really what's going on.
And it's only like a 7-hour game, so you can totally do it.
And after you told me that, I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and
palatable.
Do this so I can make my boy happy.
And hopefully make you happy. Like it'll make you playing it doesn't make me happy, but if you enjoy it, that makes me happy. Because like it's just simple fun. Fun.
I mean, that's gonna make me want to play all the rest of them too, though. And I don't like old games or going back to play old games. Retro games.
Yeah.
But if something quick, I can take it out in a few hours. Yeah, I'll do that. But I've enjoyed playing it, and the first time I didn't because of the controllers. And it's just something, of course, with all games, you got to get used to how the control works.
Tell us a little bit about that. So if they've never played Ape Escape and everything, I think it's awesome. Obviously, you have to have analog sticks. We've alluded to that. Why is that? What's the weird thing about this game's control scheme?
So instead of just having the common like X or circle on a PlayStation, as far as going and back, or what is it? Going back is B on the Nintendo, all that kind of stuff, and going back is circle on the PlayStation most of the time.
In North America.
And yeah.
That's the difference. You're talking about the interface and how you actually go back with square and triangle?
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's the Japanese thing.
That is crazy. I don't want to talk about you guys as controllers, but that is the weirdest thing ever.
So this is early. PlayStation is a Japanese company, or Sony is. It's really competing with Nintendo, but if you put it in the mind of like your Switch, it's not that weird because in Sony or in Japan, circle is the select button, not cross. That's a North American thing, and then it took root for like Xbox and PC, and so the bottommost button for North American games is select, and the further right button on every platform is typically back, except for Nintendo because they're going to do their thing. But if you go into your PlayStation 5 settings and change to the region, circle would be your select and X would be back.
Jumping was the like R1 and R2, the trigger. Both of those were jumping and all that kind of stuff.
Even more crazy.
And then over on the left side, oh my gosh, I couldn't figure out the slingshot. That was like the hardest thing to try to
shooter.
That was the hardest thing to try to figure out. Just because camera is the L3.
Stick. Yeah,
is that L3?
Well, it's the L3 is when you click it down, but yeah. But the left analog.
So the left analog, and L3 was something, or was it right 3 something? I don't remember.
Depends on the game, because you dabbled in Ape Escape too, right?
I did, but I've played more of the first one. But no, yeah, you click R3, and that's the jump up, but down kind of deal.
Yeah,
you slam down,
and if you're underwater, it will shoot your time.
And it'll shoot your net
out of the water.
Playing it again, I was like, man, I don't remember these buttons. After not playing it for 2 days, it'll be like.
So the weirdest thing that you didn't allude to. So obviously, it's not even that weird for R1 to be jump, because that's how like Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, you're talking about the attack.
It's how you use all your gadgets. all your gadgets are assigned to the right analog stick.
Analog attack stuff,
and they're positioning instead of like the D-pad or something, which you see in some games now. Like you could have sword on up and then I don't know, a bow on down and things like that. That's how you switch your weapons. You put your weapons on cross, square, circle, triangle. And then that's how you select them, and you can change it out. And it's really weird, but I don't think so there's a PSP version of this game called Ape Escape on the Loose. It's the exact same game, but the PSP doesn't have a right analog stick. And so in the PSP version, to like use your your stun club, you just, if you have it, say you have it assigned to triangle, you just press triangle and it hits. Okay. To use your
You might be bringing back some memories, dude.
I don't think
that
you
sounds
got
familiar.
What all gadgets did you get? I don't want to spoil anything for you.
I think I got up to the hula hoop.
All right, perfect. That's the one. You know how the hula hoop, you have to spin it? So on the PSP version, you just have to, say you put it on square, you have to tap square over and over and over really fast. But where that gets stupid...
You had to do that
in the PSP version, because there's no analog stick. So on the PlayStation version, like generic OG, you spin the right analog stick
That's
around.
why my analog sticks go through what they go through.
I've seen some rough ones, but it's also a good testament to how much longer, because mine are all fine. And I played that. I have the original PS1 controller that I played with back then when I played this game, and they're a little worn on the sticks, but they're just fine.
Dude, that's because you didn't do this here.
That's because I didn't play Mario Party, and so nothing ever encouraged or taught me to break my controllers. Mario Party, everybody who does that were Nintendo 64 babies, and they would you had to spin it quickly to play the game, and they would do that.
Last long at all.
And the N64 analog stick was awful. Now there's a mod for it. This isn't what we're really talking about, but that lets you put a GameCube like analog stick in the N64 controller. That's probably the best stick for it. Like that's an actual beefy stick, especially if nowadays you could probably put like a Hall effect one in it, so it wouldn't even drift. To be really good. It'd be super, super sensitive, because the original one's real sensitive and tight. But so the analog stick, the right analog stick though, for Ape Escape, my favorite thing about it, even though it's a little weird, is like say your club, which is basically a lightsaber. It actually attacks in whatever direction you press that stick, and you can spin it around with that, and you'll twirl and like defend yourself. Yeah. And to me, it adds an extra level of creativity and ability that you don't see in modern common games. Because you think about it right now, like we both playing Tears of the Kingdom and enjoying that. You press X and Y, Y, because it's Nintendo. You press Y, and that's how you like swing your sword. And Link just decides himself how he's going to swing his sword. But Spike, I can swing right, left, up, down, and it gets even more complex by the time you get to like Ape Escape 3. I
switched mine too, by the way.
You switched it? Tell me about, like, what do you mean? How'd you switch
with the X and Y?
Oh, on.
So Y, I think is jump for me.
Yeah, I didn't do that. I kept it Japanese. I got you guys.
That's awesome.
I understand how you make your buttons.
I don't.
But anyway, so those things are really cool to me. But like the jumping with R1 and everything, that's really not that uncommon. Like a lot of older, especially JRPG, like Japanese games did that. Like I don't know if you've ever played Kingdom Hearts, but all the Kingdom Hearts games you jump with R1. So that's your thing.
That's been a long time too.
And then circle is or you might jump with circle.
Wait, Kingdom Hearts, is that with the
that's what
Disney characters?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's Final Fantasy and Disney characters together. They're on Xbox now as well, but you were a PlayStation guy, so I figured you'd play it. That's Mermaid's favorite game. But and she's in a different genre of games now, but she really likes that one. All that to say, right analog stick makes it really cool. The gadgets are super cool. So I'm curious, now that we've kind of given a premise, and I think I cleaned up any like confusion about the what the point of the game is. I'm curious to know how you think it holds up. So this is almost basically, I know you've seen the game before, but this is basically your first time playing the game ever. Yeah. And you're not a retro gamer. We're going to fix that about you, but I'm not saying that all retro games are good, but what I recognize is that a good game is just a good game, period. And so I keep coming back to this story. I've shared it before on the podcast. I've shared it in the stream, but Portal, I played Portal for the first time last year. It's 13 years old. The game plays like it could have come out last year. And there's an RTX, is that what it's called? RTX version of Portal now. That's an update for the newest graphic cards that give it like ray tracing and lighting effects, and it looks good. It looks really, really good. A little more intensive on the computer. But that game and its sequel is even better. And the sequel is like 10 years old, 9 or 10 years old. We're talking a game that should be competing with like PS2 games, and it's so good. So good. And so that opened my eyes to games like Ape Escape, which I think are just a good game. And it's really interesting because I know you don't like retro games, but I think that's actually not true. I think that you don't like most retro games because a lot of them suck. Like, we'll just be real. A lot of them suck. But then you went out and you bought the remastered version of Skyward Sword, and let's be real.
I never played it.
Well, okay, maybe.
And it's Zelda.
Well,
and
maybe
I love the Zelda franchise.
Maybe you're right then. I thought that you did play it more than that.
No.
But what you're telling me right now is that actually you don't like old games because they didn't do anything to that game. They adapted it for Joy-Cons, but they didn't.
Now those controls
really
were hard to get into too.
That's the problem with that game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think the way it looked or anything, because it looks exactly the same as it did on the Wii. I don't even think that that's a problem for you. For me, and for you probably, it's the controls on that game. But like then you look at a game like Wind Waker, which I haven't played yet, but I was watching Jate Live play that on Twitch last night. Shout out to him. Awesome creator. Go check him out on twitch.tv/Jate Live, Jate. Anyway, he was playing Wind Waker last night because he's playing through all the mainline Zelda games right now this year. That's his goal, and he's made it up to Wind Waker. And so I think he jumped around a little bit because last time I saw him playing, he was playing Breath of the Wild. That's not the right order. So maybe he's jumping back because Wind Waker is his favorite. And I've never played it. I was looking at it and I was watching him play it, and I decided not to watch too intently. I just kind of lurked because I decided that I might want to play this game because it looks like a really good version of Zelda.
Yeah.
And it's really cutesy, and that's kind of my vibe. And I don't know if you've played Wind Waker.
Yeah, I played it.
Could you go back and play it again today? See, this is someone who hasn't actually played it, but from what I saw of Jate, it looks like that game would play well today.
Yeah, I think I can because it had a different art style, and I could go back and play it.
That cute,
depending on what I would play it on though.
I would want to play it with modern controls, but
because I played it on the Wii.
Yeah, well, that's probably the worst way to play it.
That's what it came out on, right?
No, it came out on GameCube. That's a GameCube game.
Well, why didn't I? No.
Then you played Wind Waker HD. If you played it on the Wii, you played Wind Waker HD. Just like how we got Skyward Sword HD, because that was a Wii game that pulled to the Switch. Switch did that real bad with a lot of Wii U games. Then the first 4 years of the Switch's life, almost the entire library were Wii U games. Zelda Breath of the Wild is a Wii U game. Just to put that into perspective. Now, it plays better on the Switch, but all right, so all that to say, that's probably what you played. That's probably the worst way to play it, unless you played it with a Wii Pro controller.
I don't know what I played it on, but
if you turned that little thing,
I had the two things.
Bro, there's better ways to play that.
And that's what I thought that was its first little thing. Because
imagine playing that with a GameCube controller now, and how much better that'd be.
Yeah, it'd be better.
That'd be good.
I can see it now, but that was again, that's probably why I didn't have a Wii because of that. But yeah, I had that experience.
Well, I use that example as a game that's just a good game, and it just holds up. And so I think I could jump into that game this year and just enjoy it. And just be a good game with a good controller. And now I don't know. Flip side of that, certain N64 games don't age well, and even with a good controller, I know this is a lot of people's favorite games and everything, but Mario 64 changed the trajectory of 3D gaming, especially, it was the 3D Mario game, and it's a good game, but the polygons look awful, and the controls, even with a good controller, the way that the camera moves and stuff like that is just not good. I think similarly of Ocarina of Time, it's just not that good to me. But there are other games. Oh, and I honestly, a lot of people really, really love, what is it, the James Bond one, GoldenEye. A lot of people really love it. And it didn't age well.
I think, yeah, definitely. It didn't age well. But back in the day, that's when it was just its top game. just like Ocarina, and GoldenEye. Going back to it now, looking at it like, oh man, it looked that bad.
I need to get
but
you
it
to
didn't
play
look
it.
that bad when I was playing it.
I need to get you to. So I'm a big believer. This is a little side tangent, but I'm a big believer that the control scheme or the controller makes or breaks even these older games.
Mhm.
I don't think that GoldenEye aged well, but this last year it got or this like a couple months ago it got released on Nintendo Switch Online, and then the N64 controller is an abomination, and then they take that and they just destroyed it the way that they did that layout to the actual Switch itself. But it just plays bad. Like it mapped really bad. But it also came out on Xbox. And on the Xbox version of the game, they modernized it and gave it like regular shooter controls, like you move your camera with the right stick and everything. And it's still a little clunky, but I think if I'm ever going to play it, I'm interested in maybe playing it all the way through. I'm going to play it on the Xbox because it plays like a modern shooter. Like it just feels good. So, and I've got an Xbox. Cool. I need to throw that in your hands and see how. Like I ought to make you play both. Like jump into it on the Switch real quick, and then jump into it on the Xbox and compare.
Volunteers tribute.
I think you'd really like the Xbox version, especially if you have any nostalgia with that game. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna let you talk for a second.
This is someday. But we got a chance to play GoldenEye Downtown that one time, didn't we? When they had the big thing.
They had like a retro game van type thing, and it was an N64.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was emulated, but it was emulated on an N64.
Okay.
Like with an N64, like USB controller. I'm gonna let you talk a second because I recognize my camera is overheating. So you talk, and I'm still good here, but I checked that, so I'm gonna let you talk, and we'll cut to that one and make sure everything's good.
So, my experience with the game. Again, I think it was a good game. For that time. For that time frame, it was a good game. I don't know. I don't know. I expect things now, which I can't do this to that game because it's old, and I can't do it to it. I'm not gonna do it to it. It was a good game for its time, but it wouldn't be like the first thing that I go to and play because I need something that looks better. Just like if I go back and watch a crazy movie.
And which one is this one? Because I wouldn't really listen.
Ape Escape.
Oh, but it's so good.
There are different parts. Like I was talking about the different areas you can go in, or the different levels, different boards, or whatever, where the stuff is cool because it's future and kind of past. So it's like a time thing. That's really cool. The story is cool since you kind of
how about the fact that his legs move faster than the ground does? Doesn't that look good?
No.
It's got charm. It looks like you can look back at that and see how far games have come and been like, man, they were doing what they were doing the most in the 90s. They were doing it.
I don't know if it would be a game for me back in the day. But I could play it because it just wasn't. I guess it wasn't put in my face back then for me to play it.
And then I forced it down your throat.
Yeah. Which I knew about Ape Escape. I've probably seen stuff.
It's really popular
over the years, but just never got a chance to play it. Which I guess I'm glad I'm kind of playing it now. I'm not going to down it or anything because it's a cool story, cool concept, and yeah. And I'm just ready to see I probably got 3 more gadgets. There's like a 5th and
so right now
5th and a 6th one, and then like the one in the middle.
You've got
there's something in the middle.
You got the stun club. You've got the
little swimming thing.
You got the aqua net.
Got the what I got.
You should also have a net.
Yeah, I got the net, which is the hardest thing. I don't like that net. I don't like catching monkeys in the net.
It's so easy.
I saw you do something.
It's so much easier.
Well, I was able to jump and catch a monkey then, but like some of the swings don't go through,
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, what's going on? But just
it's actually a lot easier.
The switching back and forth between the two, you got to be like on that. So
got to be a real gamer. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
I'm not a real gamer.
It's just different, but it's like second nature to me to switch because I do. Every time I play it now, since I beat it legit the first time and 100%ed it, I one of the great things about 90s games is, you know how like Tears of the Kingdom had glitches and stuff, and they're patched out? Can't patch things out of a disc. And so the PlayStation games, if they were not finished at launch, they are just broken. Just a broken game. Ape Escape has some things that are broken in it, and one of those things is called the what is it called? It's the hackback jump or something like that, I think is what it's called. You know how like the people who discovered glitches and things like that will give them weird names.
Yeah.
But basically it'll let you jump infinitely. Like you just climb. I pair that move with the glider or with something I don't know if you have, but I think you know that it has to exist because in the first world there's a monkey that's too high for you to reach.
Yeah.
So there's
So
there's something. Obviously you don't have that yet. I figured nope, because I know where you get this. I know where you get it. So you don't have this gadget yet. You've got the hula hoop, you've got the slingshot, you've got the stun club, you've got the net, you've got the aqua net,
and the thing to find the
and then the monkey radar.
Monkey radar.
That's all you got. So you are missing 1, 2, 3. Yes, you're missing 3 gadgets.
Because I know there was when I went to the little gadget spot in the little hub, there's like that one spot that's empty, that one spot, and then a spot in the middle.
That last gadget is awesome.
It's probably gonna transform me into a dinosaur or something.
No,
I'm ready for that.
It's not that awesome, but it's awesome. But it's not that awesome.
Speaking of the dinosaur that the monkey was riding on, I wish we could have rode on stuff like that, or can we? No, man. I'll wait. Like the sharks and stuff, like everything that they ride on and like the different boards and stuff. It's like, man, if I could just jump on something and just ride it and just fight shark to shark.
I don't want to. Do you want any information?
No.
Okay. I will say that the game. So something I don't like about the 90s, and with the Ape Escape, is that so Ape Escape, a big issue I have as you play through the sequels, like 1, 2, and 3. So with Spyro, it's all kind of cohesive, like one story. With Crash, it's kind of cohesive, but with Ape Escape, like they almost all could just be their own thing.
Yeah,
and which is fine. You know, games like Final Fantasy and the like, they kick butt like that. But this game like feels, since it has such a narrative like to it. And since it's the same thing you're doing again in the second game, you're catching monkeys, like you would think that they would connect, and they kind of do, but like the main character that you play as in Ape Escape 2 is not Spike.
Yeah.
And the main character you play as in Ape Escape 3, do you know the Ape Escape 2 character's name? Do you care if I tell you?
Well, I played with him, so yeah.
It's Jimmy. And
that's in 3?
That's 2. 2 is Jimmy.
I thought his name was like...
1 is Spike.
Started with like a T or something.
Nope. It's Jimmy. Starts with a J.
Okay.
And then in the third game, you don't play as Jimmy. You play as someone else.
Girl.
You actually get to pick. They're twins. You get to pick the boy or the girl.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. I like twins.
I'm playing as the girl because I've played as a guy the last 2. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna play as Yuaki or whatever her name is.
I'll probably stick with the dude.
She is like a Japanese influencer pop star, and I don't know what the boy is because I can't. Something I didn't know though that you need to be aware of whenever you pick it is you cannot change. Can't change back. So whatever you pick is who you play the whole game, and then you have to start a new save file to switch.
Like
and another little thing, just
like Arceus. Arceus.
Yeah.
Arceus.
Well, another thing that's interesting that you'll want to know is I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but your gadgets appear different depending on which gender you pick.
Oh.
So in the third one, so like I'll tell you the basic one, okay? I'm not going to tell you any more. They all are a little different, but like you have a stun club in this one. Right now, it's blue for Spike. It's blue for Jimmy, and it's like a dark blue, almost purple for the boy in Ape Escape 3. But if you play as the girl, it's pink. And it's that kind of cosmetic. Obviously, it's the same weapon. It's not going to give you any advantage, but that and something else that's a really cool. Like Ape Escape 3 really is doing the most. Like as I've been playing it, I'm almost done with it. As I've been playing it, because I'm playing it for the first time this year. I've never played the third one. My wife got it for me, found it on like Amazon or something, and got it.
What are you playing it on?
PS2. That's what it came out on. It's actually that PS2 right there. I
wonder if it's on this store because I only saw the first and second.
It's not. So if you want to play it, though, you can borrow mine, my copy. But I or emulate it.
I can play PS2 and PS5.
No, you'll have to take that whole thing.
Lord.
You gotta take the PS2. You're gonna have to take the PS2 with
borrow
you.
the actual console.
Yeah.
All right.
And then you're gonna have to watch your children because, like, remember how that's my original.
I am not taking your original.
You might have to go
2.
to Game Exchange and buy a cheap knockoff PS2 controller. And I don't care what happens to that controller. You can use
I'll just come over here and play a little bit of it.
Look, anytime. Well, not anytime. Like 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll probably be up.
Yeah.
No, but no, that's a great way. Or you can emulate it. Like that. Not that we do that here, but I own the game. Like throw it on that PC I gave you, and you just plug in your PS5 controller, play it on it. That will work fine. I'll help you set it up if you want. Because Topaz is working on a game room, and let's go. He's been working hard. He's tired. It's not ready yet. But he's going to get there, and he's going to play Ape Escape in it. That's probably the part you're most bummed about. It's the Ape Escape.
That's the only thing I'm going to do in that room is play Ape Escape.
That's right.
Over there. I am.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
Me too.
I think it's a great game, but I recognize that it's not everyone's cup of tea. So I'm really proud of you for stretching yourself and playing it.
'Cause I would have never played it.
And I'm glad that I gave you a reasonable, low-hanging 7-hour game, and that you did that for me.
Yeah.
That's a lie. We'll talk about that next week. I am grateful that I gave you something so low-hanging, but the obvious decision was for me to make you play Spyro, but Spyro is a better game than Ape Escape.
It definitely is.
So, have you ever played the Reignited?
I think we talked about this before, and I believe I did. But did I put a lot of time in it? Probably not.
Good. It's better than Sonic Frontiers.
Just
hands down. That's easy.
I mean, it's legendary, I guess. Yeah.
And lit. What you said the first time is lit. Well, okay, so we've got just a couple minutes left and everything. So I'm really interested. I'm going to share a couple ideas or thoughts that I have about the game with you. Not that I haven't already been doing that. I want to see your opinion of that because if you can look through the lens of like a 12-year-ish old me around the time that I would have played it and remember what is there at the time, because I didn't have an N64, but I mean, I guess the jury's still out, but I think the PS2 was a better console than the Nintendo 64. The GameCube was good; it competes, but the N64, I think the PlayStation 1 just kind of took it. And so you're in your room, you've got your CR TV that's only this big because your parents have the big one, and you're focused in. I mean, was your family different?
No.
Dad got the big TV, and I got the thing that you could plug into the cigarette lighter. So I legit. I ought to bring that out because now my actual TV that I had, the first color TV that I have now. I just got it, and then I've got the other one that was that big TV that I was talking about is the one that I set up for the retro. You guys join the Discord. Links in my bio and everything, so you can see the picture of that for that retro corner. But what's so pitiful about it is that big TV that I have now is like 20-inch. Like it's pretty small, and it's 4x3, so it feels even smaller because it's like a cube.
Yeah.
All that to say. I remember sitting in and playing that game and seeing all these different worlds, and I just had never seen anything like that be possible before. Before that, any gaming experience I had, even on the PS1, was really super linear or was like top-down / side scroller, which have never, even back then, were not my favorite. And or a lot of I had a lot of those cheap like plug and play games you could get. You just plug it to the front of the TV or in front of the VCR. And they were always basically Atari ripoffs. And so Pac-Man and Pong, that was a legend. And then I had a really cool one. I still have it, a Sega Genesis one as well. And I played Echo the Dolphin. And I thought that was a good game back then. It's not a good game. And stuff like Sludge was like another one of the games, just bad games, And so now I sit down, and I didn't even own the PS1 yet. I borrowed my sister-in-law's PS1 to play this, and then I eventually got my own. And so I'm sitting in my room, I'm borrowing this thing. We got it all set up. This is before I even knew how to plug in. This is so stupid. Like, just to put it in your perspective of how much this blew my mind. This is before I knew how to hook the PlayStation 1 up to the TV. And it still blows my mind that I don't know how your parents are, but my parents would still struggle with that. Topaz, It's color coordinated. Like
Definitely
you plug the yellow one into the yellow hole, and the white one into the white hole. And what confused them is that it had a red one, but the TV only had yellow and white. And so it was like, what do you do? Like, you just don't plug in the red because red is right, so it's left and right. You can, but it won't sound right because TVs that usually only have yellow and white only have mono sound because there's only one speaker. So you just needed the left. But I digress. I remember we fought in there for like
until
10
that
minutes
changed from yellow to green.
Oh, that's different. That's not audio visual. That's not what is that?
That was video, right?
That's not composite. That's component cables there. That's HD capabilities. Anyway, we set that up, and then I sat down and I had the little controller, and then I put it in my hand, and I went into Tokyo, and it in my hand, and like no game I ever had, the system vibrated, and it just felt good, and I did it.
There's Tokyo on this game.
And Ape Escape 1, yeah, you go all the way up until modern day.
You said that.
Yeah, well,
I got to get there.
All the way up to like 1998. Like modern day there.
Modern day.
Like you're gonna get a skyscraper, but it's not like too crazy, and I appreciate that the game doesn't do that thing where it tries to take you into the future and like pretend that it knows what the future is going to be. It brings you up to where you are now. It's really cool.
I mean, I can see mind controlled apes or what's his name?
Spectre?
The white.
Yeah.
I can see Spectre with a little helmet and gaining all the knowledge of the world and taking over like that. Yeah, just like Caesar.
Yeah, I think that he's kind of based after like the Roman Empire is kind of what they were trying to go after there.
I can see it. Yeah.
And then the second one, each one of them have their own gimmick. And the third one's really dumb, but they each are doing their own thing. It's always Spectre, but they build on it. And that's why I say 3 is doing the most, because you have gadgets, but you also have something else. You have other things, and on top of that, something else that I'm not going to spoil for you, and it's just wild.
You have vehicles.
Do you want me to give you anything?
I'm pretty sure you got to have vehicles because this is the third game. If you don't have a bike, if you don't have a flying hovercraft or something like that, then why are you even making this game?
All right. There's a little bit of a spoiler for the first game. Do you want it?
No.
End of conversation.
Dude, I guess you want to tell me. You want to tell me so bad. Yeah. Go ahead.
There's a vehicle in the first game. You just hadn't gotten to it yet. So, yes, vehicles are in the third game. They're in the second game, too, because there's a vehicle in the first game. You just hadn't made it. Well, you might have, because by now, have you gotten to a boat? The first vehicle in Ape Escape 1 is a rowboat.
Is this a gadget?
No, you just find them, like in the world. But it's a rowboat, and you're going to hate it.
Yeah.
Because you have to use the right stick does the right
stick. I hated that.
Like the right oar.
I definitely hated that thing.
Yeah.
Because
you're going to hate the next one, too, then.
Both things are like... and then that mini game, first mini game I played.
I don't like the mini games.
Snowboarding,
isn't it?
Is it snowboarding? Not snowboarding.
Snowboarding
skiing.
might be the second one.
Skiing.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
two
you
things.
can snowboard depending on the character you play as, but
the absolute hardest thing in the whole wide world. But
or maybe snowboarding is like baby mode because it's only one stick. I don't know. You get used to it, though, because it makes a lot of sense if you think about the rowing motion.
No.
Once you wrap your head around it, it gets harder in the later games because the controls work a little bit different in later games. But in the first game, I can take my boat and I can spin myself around in circles and get to exactly where I need to go. It just
that's the mechanic.
Once you hit that threshold of like, I get it. Oh man, you're dangerous. You're good.
So confusing.
You're good.
But that's the world. That's the world of the overseas kind of deal.
Well, would you say that right now, if someone is listening and they're like, I like platformer collectors, would you recommend this game to them? Especially since it's on PS Plus. Like if you've got PlayStation Plus Premium, it's free to you.
How old are you?
They can't answer their cameras. Let's say that they are, old enough to be listening to this podcast. So probably anywhere from, double digits. Like so anywhere from 10 years old all the way to 45,
so you said they like retro stuff and they like,
or like platformers, not necessarily retro, but like they like platformers, because this is a platformer collector. If you like 3D platformer collectors, this is that genre.
What's another platformer?
From the same era or like modern?
Modern.
Came out recently. Platformer, just platformer in general, or like an exact 3D platformer collector? Because you don't actually see those kind of games very often anymore. They're a very 90s thing. A general platformer is Super Mario Wonder. It's a 2D side-scrolling platformer. Mario Odyssey is a 3D platformer.
See, I love Odyssey.
See, that's all that game is jumping. The collecting part is what changes it a little bit, which that's a collector too, because you got to collect stars and the half moons and everything. But the main point of the game is platform to the end and beat Bowser.
Right.
You don't have to necessarily collect along the way, but yeah. So that's how that one works. A more new platformer collector. You ever play Ukulele?
Ukulele.
It's a Banjo-Kazooie like clone, basically.
I've never played it.
Well, it's about a little gecko and he has a bat. So did you ever play Banjo-Kazooie?
Yeah.
All right, replace Banjo with a gecko and replace Kazooie with a bat, and then you get a ukulele.
Dude, you trying to bring back my childhood.
I've got that game. It's pretty good too. That's a modern platformer collector, but it's in the style of Banjo-Kazooie, which means I don't like it as much. Banjo-Kazooie's okay, but the problem is an N64 game. I've heard Banjo-Tooie is the good one. I've just never actually made it to that one to play it, because the first one I had a hard time with.
Tooie?
Yeah, that's the second one, Banjo-Tooie.
I figured.
And Banjo-Kablooie is the third. I'm kidding.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just Banjo.
Well, I would say, speaking to this one audience or this one person or whatever, I'm going to split you guys up. If you're like me and you don't play those things.
Even after this great experience
don't
you had
play
with
it. You don't have to play it. Stay modern. But if you do like retro games and all that stuff, and you have a interest in,
if you have culture
playing this stuff, go ahead and play it. Pick it up. It's a short game, which makes it great.
And you don't actually have to have PS Plus to get it, because you can buy just that game for $5.
So get that thing, run through it, catch all those. Is it 100 apes in this first one?
100 is what you need to get the achievement. Yeah, but there's more than that. I think there's like 216 or something. To 100% the game.
Oh, wait, okay.
It's good. It's worth it though.
What about story mode?
To beat the story in general, a little
109.
Well, I guess 100 is all that you'd have to do, because
that's where I'm gonna stop.
There's a couple. So I always have more than that, because there's a couple. You haven't made it to one yet. There's a couple worlds where you cross paths with Spectre. And so the objective in the bottom right where it says catch this many monkeys, the objective is catch Spectre. But there might still be 10 monkeys in it. The thing is, you don't get taken out of that world until you find Spectre.
Okay.
And so you could catch 10 monkeys that you didn't have to catch just to get to Spectre. So all that to say, it's probably around 100 is the actual number, but I've always had over 100 by the time I got to the end of the game.
Now, I did kind of like the feel, with the little bit of minutes we have left, the feel of like kind of having a boss, kind of like a boss battle, but
there's
not
definitely
really.
Those.
This one was the one that's inside Dexter. It's like the eye tentacles or eye things.
That's just a hard enemy.
Yeah,
it's not even really a boss.
I did like the fact of that, and then I guess if there are bosses, then interesting.
Yeah,
but that kind of put my mind to Zelda.
The cool thing, or I almost spoil this a little bit, but it's not really. There's only one boss in the game, and I've already kind of given you the format. Remember how I said there's certain levels where you cross like paths with Spectre?
Yeah.
The problem is you don't catch him. Like you try, but you fail, and then you got to.
So you're fighting Jake.
You're not. One time you fight Jake, but most of the time Jake is just being an airhead. But he's mind controlled. So yeah.
Understandable, Jake. You get a pass.
Yeah. Well, State Farm let him go. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out. I know this is a little bit different, but hey, this is Webby Summer. We're just gonna have some lighthearted, fun times hanging out here in this cozy area inside of my house, and
this is not his house. We're in a coffee shop, by the way.
Yeah. Yep. Drinking Baja Blast.
That's right,
brew.
from Taco Bell.
We're in Cafe de Taco, the coffee house. Stick consistency, Topaz.
And we have music. What? There it is.
You trying to play me?
The guitar behind, or whatever that
ukulele.
Ukulele behind. Oh, yeah.
It's full circle. That one's not a lizard. And for our audio viewers that can't see us, there's a ukulele behind me. But hey, we're live every Monday. We're not truly live, but we premiere every Monday over on the YouTube channel Webby Pumpkin. So youtube.com/@WebbyPumpkin. Come check it out. If you're listening in audio, we thank you so much. We're on all audio platforms. I think mostly all of them anyway. We really appreciate any likes or thumbs up or rating those channels 5 stars wherever you're listening. And hey, if you're interested in the video, like I said, it's on YouTube, but it's also on Spotify. If you're watching on Spotify, all you have to do is click the little video button. You can watch video there as well. Thank you guys so much for listening there. We're live every Tuesday and Thursday over on the channel Webby Pumpkin at twitch.tv. Let me use my words correctly. Twitch.tv/Webby Pumpkin. Would love to hang out with you guys there. Have a Discord. You can follow me on Twitter @WebbyPumpkin there. It's really easy to find me. My name's the same everywhere. It's really easy to find me, except for my gamer tag. It has 262 at the end. Find me on Xbox and PlayStation and Switch, and let's be friends. But would love for you guys to hang out every Tuesday and Thursday night over on Twitch, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're usually live. Right now, I'm about to start playing this game called Only Up. Tomorrow, at the time you guys are hearing this, I'll be playing Only Up. It's going to make me rage like crazy. I can't wait. It's going to be great. It's going to be so much fun.
It's going to be another Ape Escape experience.
And then you can find Topaz at my house usually.
That's right.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Topaz, you got anything you'd like to add?
I don't. Thanks for introducing me to this game.
You're welcome.
And letting me play and letting me get not hooked on something else, but
like phonics.
It's been an interesting experience for these past couple of weeks. So thanks, bro.
I'm glad you liked it, or that you have this under your belt at least. Even if you didn't really like it, it'd make you.
Yep.
Make you
now,
a better gamer.
When everybody was like, "You ain't played Ape Escape," no, I did. In fact, play Ape Escape.
It'd make you a better gamer. Make you a better gamer.
It sure will do.
Thank you guys so much. Y'all have an awesome summer. Stay cool out there. Stay hydrated.
Yes.
And we will catch you next week, same time, same place. See you later.